Hi, good evening, team, and welcome to the UFC Gym Indy podcast. Today we have Mr. Neal Spruce from dotFIT joining us today. Neal Spruce is the owner, founder, and CEO of dotFIT, our nutritional partner here at Class in UFC Gym Indy. He is the former owner of the National Academy of Sports Medicine. Neal was a top bodybuilder who went on to create the nutritional programs of many of the top athletes, bodybuilders, models, and actors still to this day. Neal is an author, teacher, professional speaker, owner of some of the top fitness companies in the world, and is known as the godfather of nutrition within our industry. Mr. Spruce, thank you for joining us. We are humbled to have you.
I know. Thank you for having me. I always love that introduction. Especially the Godfather part at the end.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I love it.
Just roll with it, right?
It goes with age. Yeah. Thanks.
You've earned it.
Yeah. Thank you. But thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. Are you guys open right now? Are you guys open now?
Not yet. We're looking at end of June, so
End
very
of June.
close.
Okay.
Yep, about a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our class gym just opened this week, just reopened this week
Great.
from all the shutdowns. So we're happy to have that going. Seems like some good feedback. I think fitness is starting to boom again here in Indiana, so we're happy.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks for joining us once again. You know, we have been plugging dotFIT for a while just because, you know, myself as a trainer with my background, I hate to say it, but I am an ACSM guy, not a NASM guy. So no offense to you there. Great certification programs though. You know, and just having something that's certified through the National Science Foundation, you know, going into sports nutrition in school, getting a bachelor's degree, we always learn, find the supplements that are evidence-backed, right? Third-party based, science-backed, rather than just going into your regular mom and pop nutrition shop and just buying something that's offered to them. So we have been plugging this because of the quality of the supplements. They're reasonably priced as well compared to some of the other higher end supplements, which we're really happy about. I love the taste myself, strawberry banana pre-post workout. I love it. So yeah, we had some questions for you as well. And just kind of give us your background. What led you to this, this career path from, you know, your initial start in the fitness industry?
Yeah. Well, it all started. I went from football to bodybuilding, and then I was fortunate enough. I know it's hard to imagine looking at me today, but I was fortunate enough to end up being, you know, one of the top bodybuilders in the country for about 8 of my 18 years of competition. And you know, all of us, we knew what it took. We knew that, you know, nutrition was the bigger part of the job, and nutrition could change the body in one day, where exercise can't. So you need to see immediate results. So when I got in, you know, there was only one Gold's Gym when I started. It was Venice, and all bodybuilders go there to die. You know, so I spent my last 10 years right across the street, living right across the street from it. And I, you know, I was fortunate enough to be able to be part of that grade 8 that built the brand around the world, because there was only one, and then the second one was San Francisco, and the rest is history. So in my tenure there, we opened up 535 Gold's Gyms around the world. And of course, the fitness brand is strong. You know, everything's changed in the world, but at least the brand was very, very well known. But it was the first one ever to have nutrition. I created the first nutrition program because I didn't believe in selling a membership without giving them the other 23 hours of the day when they left the gym. I was never worried about the hour they were with us. I was worried about what happened when they left. They just mess everything up. So, and you know, we know as a physique athlete, you know how important that is. And as a football player, if you don't recharge yourself before you get on the practice field, you know, you're going to, you know, pass out before you finish practice. So, you know, those are all the things that we knew. So we incorporated it. And so when I retired from bodybuilding, I started the company on my own so I could go global outside, you know, and save the world with fitness was always my mantra. And I wasn't going to be able to do it with just exercise. You know, I needed the rest of the equation. So we built the nutrition program, integrated it with exercise, because we have a certain amount of time, as you guys know, we have a certain amount of time to get people addicted to fitness. And the second we opened our doors to the public, when it wasn't just athletes like you and me working out in the gyms, right? You know, we knew what we were going to do when we left the gym, but, you know, we opened up to the public. So everybody wanted to lose weight now. It's a completely different situation starting in the 70s. So the goal was, you know, to get them to stay in the gym, not, you know, leave the gym. And of course they would all quit if they didn't see their body change immediately. So that's why we incorporated nutrition, and we were able to build the biggest brands in the world including, started out, of course, with Golds, and then it went to 24-Hour Fitness. We merged my company with Mark Masarov, who is your fearless leader as well, started the UFC brand. And so Mark and I are partners in all businesses still today. And, then of course, Crunch after that. And then, so we just continue to incorporate nutrition, and our brands are, because of that, we believe our brands and personal training model for sure, just more successful than the other ones that are out there. But that's the importance of it. The importance is you need to see your body change now. And if you do, and then you get that feeling and you want to do it right. And supplements are a huge part of that because they can accelerate the goal. I can turn 12 weeks into 3 by giving your food properly and supplementing properly. That's sort of the magic of nutrition with exercise.
Well, that's one of the things that we were noticing too, as you looked at the 5 pillars of fitness from the UFC standpoint and the dotFIT pillars of fitness, nutrition's number 1, right? If you look at the first thing. And I think in a lot of gyms that I've been to, and, I was in the military, it's not, sometimes it's the second or third or not even discussed at all.
Right. There's something very funny, and funny you say that. It's always been what sort of like taboo. I'll leave that to someone else. So what happened was, and you guys, this is a great story now. When it all started, I had started with Golds. It was called Nutritionalysis. So we empowered the trainers to hand out the menus to everybody. So they had a menu plan based on their goal, enter all their information, and it came out with their menus and their supplement plan based on a screening process to make sure they could, what supplements was actually part of the goal. Well, then what happened was we had dietitians in different states saying, you can't do that. You got to be a dietitian. And I said, well, I got news for you. My members aren't going to go see a dietitian after they leave the gym for, $150 an hour. They bought a membership here, and I'm giving it. So I spent 10 years and $10 million getting into the scope of practice of trainers, the program that you guys run today. So it took me with each stage we had a dietitian. So it's all their menus are created by them, but based on the right outline on the person's goal, physical, and their all their physical input on their bodies, and then what their goal was and the time frame, and it comes out with all that. And of course, the menus are all as good as they can be, and they're written by dietitians, and there's boundaries on them. We don't do anything clinical. It is strictly for fitness. So again, that we are the only program, what you have there is the one that empowers the trainers to be able to give that really good information so they can integrate everything.
And the dietitians, but they're one element, right? When you have the trainer that's in there working out, looking at the calorie expenditure, seeing the modalities they're using, and then applying also, because every one of our employees goes through dotFIT certification. That's just the baseline, whether you work in the front desk, whether you're a personal trainer, because we at Indianapolis believe that is the first pillar and probably one of the most important pillars, as you mentioned, to get immediate results. Yeah. And I think that the dietitian is important, plays a critical role in developing those meal plans, but there's also the application with the one-on-one connection with the member, the person working out, and trying to reach their goals in a safe and effective manner as well.
Yeah. And that's why, the personal trainer is always going to be the one to put it all together. They're not going to go to 4 different places. They're not going to go to a GNC. And you brought this up earlier. They don't even know what they're looking for. They know the name of the product, but they don't know the ingredients are effective. And certainly most of them haven't been third-party tested to make sure that they're clean and that the ingredients are matched the label. We know 50% of things found in the mass market and consumer channels are mislabeled. So you've got a lot of issues out there with that. So doing it right, and that's the reason we decided to do it all ourselves. And because of that, as you guys know, we're the largest distributor of nutrition programs and products in all of pro sports and college sports.
And so you only work.
What's that?
Right? I said you only work with personal trainers as well.
Yeah, that's it. That is a practitioner product. You do not find this stuff in your stores. You don't find that in the mass channels, because we wanted to go through certified practitioners to legitimize the recommendation for all of your members.
Yeah, and coming from the fitness world and as a trainer myself, members and clients really listen to what you say when it comes to fitness, when it comes to nutrition. So if you have that background, that knowledge on the right type of supplements to prescribe to them, they're obviously going to go with what you say. So it is really important to know, and that goes for all the new trainers out there, to really know what kind of supplements you're giving to your clients, right? And by mislabeling, right, Neal, if I'm not mistaken, that would mean something says it has this many grams of protein, may not actually be that much. It might be less than that. Is that correct? Just a raw example.
Yeah, for almost the 50% that is mislabeled is generally underformulated. So if it says it's got 24 grams of protein in a serving, we found it as low as 5. We found them as low as 12. And there was class action suits for so many years against all the protein manufacturers that were selling in the mass channels, including Costco, Walgreens, GNC, Vitamin, all the shops, bodybuilding.com, all these ones there. So they ended up, had to settle all that. But, they call that protein spiking, just throwing in some nitrogen radicals into the product to spike the nitrogen up, but it wasn't a complete protein. So that's one. And then there's other things. And just, people just don't know the effective dosage of, let's say, lycopene or lutein or a leucine and a branched chain amino acid. What should it really be compared to isoleucine and valine? You don't expect people to know that. They shouldn't. They don't go to school for that kind of stuff. But so what we have to do is we do all of that research on the effective ingredients, the dosage, the forms of the ingredient, which are also important, create the documentation around that, submit that then to our scientific board. And then they bless it. They say, yes, this is the right amounts, the ingredients. And then you still got a problem because it hasn't been made yet. So then you deliver that to your manufacturer, and make that exactly the way it's laid out. So they make it, and then it's not like they're going to try to not make it the way I want them to, but they can make a mistake. You've got 15, 20 ingredients in a multivitamin. They can mess one up. So we take it out to another place to third-party test. And now you've got the real deal. And it can live up to its claims, and it does it all. So that's what's called a practitioner product. And that's what you guys deal with through your practitioners.
And you mentioned a couple important things, your medical board, but also the evidence-based side, right?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between having, other products out there that, quote, say it does X, Y, Z, whether it's recovery or lose weight or whatever, but there's also the evidence-based side. And I don't think that's addressed as much as a broad industry.
It's not, because again, the word evidence-based, and I think it is a category that lives. So if you actually look it up, it means it is the whatever discipline of evidence-based, so evidence-based psychiatry, evidence-based clinical psychology, evidence-based weight loss. There are rules that is a consensus of the top scientists of that discipline. And those are the rules. That is an evidence-based category. And that is the only world we live in. So we are surrounded by that group where we have to follow the rules of the top scientists in that particular discipline, whether it be the weight loss components of our nutrition program, okay, or whether it be the ingredients in the supplements. They have to be able to be matched up. And one way to do that is you do the research, you find all of the different clinical trials that are done out there, not by you, but by other, groups, colleges, clinicians, and all that. And you find the effective ingredient dose that is safe and effective, that has showed positive outcomes. But you also have to show ones that showed no outcome. And then you report all that into a large, huge documentation. As you guys know, it's called the Practitioner Dietary Supplement Reference Guide. There'll be 30 pages on one product, all completely referenced. And then you come up with an evidence-based formula that now you reproduce, and then you put it into the field. So that's what it means by being evidence-based. And the supplements in the mass market, they don't follow the same rules because they don't have to. So I'm not knocking them, they don't have to, but we do.
So that brings me up to, I guess, an important point that I wanted to cover and make sure we had adequate time. And, supplements in high school and collegiate sports, it's close to my heart. I have 3 younger kids, 1 in college, and 2 in high school. And, we were talking with a lot of the athletic directors. What do you see as current trends going on with high school and collegiate students as it maintains to just general nutrition, and then maybe walk into the supplementation / what you're seeing out there, and where are problems that people that are viewers that are watching now or maybe later need to kind of be mindful of, and maybe some other thoughts.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's very dear to me, youth nutrition. I grew up without parents, and so I lived in many different places. And if it wasn't for football, bodybuilding, I'd be dead or in jail like everybody I grew up with. So that always saved my life. So I'm very, very passionate about youth nutrition. And I don't know if you know, I have two sons that are both professional athletes. One actually made it to the NFL, and the other one is a fighter, professional fighter. So I raised a violent family, as you can tell. So, you know, they grew up doing all the right things. Obviously, I wasn't the psycho dad with nutrition. I had rules of what you had to eat. Then you could have whatever you want as long as you ate what you needed. And what you needed was a certain amount of protein daily in each meal. And, you know, people always ask, how come your kids are so much taller than you? And that's because when their growth plates were still open, I was force feeding them protein powder. You know, so there really is a misconception about youth and nutrition. And it's like, okay, you can eat randomly, but that just sets them up for injury. When you look at kids that didn't get enough calcium growing up, they actually fracture 8 times more than kids that did. And it's all from not drinking milk because milk's fortified with vitamin D. It's got the calcium in it. It's the easiest delivery for a kid. You know, so those are all the little things out there, and you can't go back and fill them up later. You're not going to get taller when you're 25 because you missed, you know, whatever, or you're not going to have stronger bones after age 30. All you do is get weaker. So if you built a strong enough bone before that, you won't live long enough for them to wear out like your parents or grandparents did. And they all have, anybody over 75 today has osteoporosis. They fall, lose their balance, the muscle, everything's weakened. So these things are so important in youth nutrition. So we always say, eat the best you can. 1 gram per pound of lean body mass of protein daily, split throughout the day. You add that, that's part of your regular meal plan. Make sure you get enough calcium. By the way, this calcium problem is so severe, and vitamin D is so severe that right now, as of 2020, every single label of every food product has to have the calcium amount listed. And every growing kid needs up to 1,300 milligrams of calcium a day, because you can't go back and fill that window. Now, I don't want them to have to supplement. Both my boys and I never had to supplement a calcium in my life. We make it because we're health professionals, and most people don't get enough, okay? But if you're using a protein powder like the dairy proteins that we have there, you've got tons of calcium in that, and the rest should come from your diet as a kid. But if they're not, that parent is irresponsible if they don't get them to that 12 to 1,300 mg a day. And if you have to supplement, so be it. My daughter's had to supplement her whole life calcium, and my wife, of course, like 70% of other Americans that don't get enough calcium. So that's that part. The other thing that kids don't eat fish, so they're missing out on the omega-3s, which is so important for brain development and also behavior, the way kids act. We've got tons of studies that show that, okay? All of these things, and cardiovascular structure, immune system, you know, everything, omega-3s are so important. So if you're not eating fish regularly, which most kids don't, then they should be taking an omega-3 supplement as well. And that between the omega-3, if they're not eating fish, a protein powder to help before and after their training, before and after their exercise is really important, and a complete multivitamin, complete, not like one you find in the mass market, but complete, that has all the vitamins in it, the 19 known possibly underconsumed nutrients, such as the ones you have. And that's baseline for everybody, no matter who you are, high school, college, pro, no matter where you are. But here's what's happening now. Now they're waking up, and especially since this virus thing. Listen, nutrition creates the human body, not medicine. Nutrition creates your health, not medicine. That doesn't create your health. That only tries to fix you after you've broken. So everybody's going, okay, I should have listened to that guy a long time ago. I should have made sure I had all my vitamin minerals shored up so my body would up-regulate to them rather than down-regulate to what I give it. So that baseline supplementation is what I just gave you just now. In all the interviews I've done since this virus outbreak, I've said, hey, listen, I don't have any different news for you today. I don't have any. What are nutrition tips that we should be thinking about during this time of a high health risk with the virus? I go, same thing I told you when I was 24 years old. Exact same thing. And you wouldn't have to worry about this. You'd be a little sniffle maybe, you know? So those are the things that people just don't do. And they're now finding out. You should see the colleges are calling us nonstop. Players, because they can't go on campus, are picking them up out in front of the athletic hall. They drive up and all the supplements are out there for them, and they're taking them, you know, back to their home. And of course, we can deliver to their house too. But these are ones that you'll love this. The NCAA just approved omega-3 fatty acids. College can now purchase them. See, colleges can only purchase protein, multivitamins, and that was it. All the way up until, because multivitamin considers vitamin D, obviously, like the multivitamins you sell have super high vitamin D. So you don't have to buy a separate one. Okay, but with athletes that wear clothing like football players, they almost have to take a separate one on top of the amount that's in the multivitamin. So that's what they can order. NCAA just approved, literally 3 weeks ago, I think it was, or a month ago, Rob. I think I just posted it. They approved omega-3s for college to be able to buy for the trainers. So we actually set up, and you should see, we set up websites for the colleges and the pro teams, their own. It's their own private website where their players and their families can all get the stuff that they need on that. So they've woken up to nutrition now, to your point. They're finally there. They're getting there. They know how important it is, because guess what? Your next workout is only as good as your recovery from your last.
Absolutely. Well, I think the crisis that we've been enduring for the last couple of months, it's only highlighted, at least from the mainstream perspective, the lack of some of those micronutrients, the vitamin Ds, the zincs, right? I'm seeing a lot of stuff.
Right.
And now that science articles are coming out, right, where they're more evidence-based about what the importance of vitamin D, and you make a great point. If you've got a good baseline in your multivitamin, depending on your activity, you might not need to go out and get another vitamin D. So, I went to the grocery store and I saw all the vitamin D gone. And then I'm wondering, okay, did they actually need it, right? Or the zinc or whatever. So I think that's the importance of working with your practitioner and determining your needs. Maybe you're getting enough based on your body size and type.
Right. You're spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, Neal. And once again, we are with Neal Spruce, owner, CEO, and founder of dotFIT nutritional supplements, which we do sell through UFC Gym Indy. We are very proud to offer this brand as well. Neal, a couple questions for you here. What was the major shift in your mindset from starting an organization based in personal training and fitness education to a company designated towards nutrition and supplementation?
Well, actually, we've never really diversified. I still own, after I sold NASM, back in, I started a nutrition company first. I actually the reason I purchased NASM in the early 90s, I did a license first, and then I actually bought them out in the mid 90s, was because trainers didn't have any credibility back then. And by the way, unless you were ACSM certified, then you had credibility. So, but there wasn't enough. So what I did, I bought that, and then I bought 3 more companies and merged them: a sports performance and a physical rehab company. And then I merged them all together and built NASM, which ended up being today, and it still is today, the number one of all. Number one. I don't mean number one like the best. I just mean that they certify more people than anybody else on the planet, annually. And what it did is it raised the bar so that everybody else had to raise up. Because trainers didn't have any credibility in my day. Basically, you were just the biggest guy in the room. That was the best trainer, So, but I wasn't going to, if I was going to save the world of fitness, I had to get the trainer credibility. So we really changed it. We did live work, first company to ever do live workshops and do all the different things that we did, back then. And that's how I got there. Nutrition I always had. So I kept doing that. Then when we sold NASM, about 2010, right around there, sold it. I waited for my no compete to run out, and now we own PTA Global. So Mark and I, your fearless leader, we purchased PTA Global a couple of years ago. And only because we want to be able to control the content and pricing. We want to be able to give it to people, as a scholarship, so that they can now come to work in our environment and be able to deliver the best and help and really make a difference, from a personal training standpoint in a health club setting.
Well, I think that's important for our for our team here. And it's one thing that Jordan and I always talk about is, we want to develop our trainers, right? We want to develop our trainers to be the best. And obviously, the certification process that all of our trainers go through, it starts with dotFIT, then it goes to PTA Global, and then we go and we try to make them very well-rounded trainers, in addition to, whatever subject matter, our specific modality they choose to specialize in. But it's that constant giving back. So we're always improving, always trying to stay up to date with what's going on.
Nutrition, what's funny about that, the nutrition was really kind of I really didn't want to get into that. Now the nutrition, the meal planning for sure, because, dieting and all the different things that we were doing that everybody was coming in the gym for. But on the supplement side, I was just hoping to find a partner. And then when I got in the 80s, and I looked around at these supplement companies, and I go, really? You guys make this stuff like that? So I said, okay, that's it. We got to do it the evidence-based way. So that's how I ended up having to do all that.
Yeah, and we've become pretty selective as far as our training certifications for our trainers for that fact as well, right? Continuing education provided to those trainers through the NASM certifications, ACSM, all those top tier certifications do require continuing education, which is pretty similar to what happens with really good supplement brands such as dotFIT, right? You go through your evidence-based practices and the third-party testing, all those different things to really build the brand and to help put good things into our body, right? And I think that still transitions into personal training as well. So that was one thing as a personal trainer I was really excited to talk to you about, was your kind of influence on starting the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
And that was
and
it.
kind
And,
of your background.
And I really believe that in the future, and starting even now, trainers that have the holistic approach like yours, the trainers that are taking care of the nutrition needs for people. In other words, taking care of people's health while they have it, that's healthcare. The model we're in today, guys, is disease care. It's after the fact. That's what the medical, that's what, and I'm not knocking that. I mean, I'm just saying that the medical, thank God we have these great doctors. But our model today in the mind of the person is, don't worry about it, I'll just take a pill and fix it. I'll take the cholesterol pill and lower it rather than exercising. And so everything is after the fact. I call it disease care. We're actually health care. We're taking care of people's health while they have it, caring for their health by giving them what they need to be able to maintain their health, and hopefully much fewer doctor visits. That's the point.
Right. In a lifestyle type manner, right? So, we say we're always adding years to life and life to years. That's kind of our saying. And when we look at it, it is healthcare. At the preventative side, whether it's has to do with, starting with a good nutritional base, I look at type 2 diabetes, right? I wouldn't say totally preventable, but in large part preventable in the United States.
Yes.
With the quality of food that we have, with being a first world country, we should not have the levels of type 2 diabetes.
Right.
And it starts with food. And then I think that you go beyond that to the next step. If you're doing a healthy lifestyle, in Europe, you walk everywhere. Here you drive. So you have to go to the gym maybe to get some of those, to get the body moving. And as I look at some of these preventable diseases, you start with the macronutrients and then move to the micro. And that's what we're there for. And they always say only 20% of the population works out. I think it's a little bit less than that. I wish it was more, just from the standpoint of the health and lifestyle, that the trend's going the wrong way in my mind, and then what I see.
Well, I mean, obesity is up, and it's funny because gym memberships were up and obesity was up, which it just speaks to the fact about eating, when it comes down to it. So, that report just came out last year that obesity is actually up, and it's amazing. You think it would plateau at some point, but it's gotten there. But we live in this built environment around us where we're forced to make a living sitting in a chair. It's not like we're out farming anymore. So the whole world has changed. We're trying to deal with it, and all this palatable food surrounds us, and we're wired to eat everything till it's gone. And if it's there, you just eat because it's there. So many times. So you got to get that under control. And, once like I said, it's easy to do, and it's not as hard as people think it is. It's just hard to release what you were doing and get into that. But once you get there, after about 30, 40 days of experiencing what you guys do, most people are going to go, wow, this is it. This is where I want to be.
So a couple of things that brings to mind. You talked about reducing the time, right? So if you got someone in their late 40s that's coming in to work out, and starting them on a nutritional plan that includes supplementation or not, how does supplements, in your experience, help them?
Well, first of all, if it's weight loss, it's not negotiable with me. You're going to supplement. I've got to give you nutrients without calories, because during any weight loss, conventional weight loss, so you look at any of your diet centers, you guys all know the most famous diet centers out there, conventional weight loss, you end up losing anywhere from 25 to 50% of the weight lost is lean body mass. 25% would be actually good losing if you were able to do that. Yeah, that's lean body mass. And by the way, when I say lean body mass, we call it fat-free mass as well. But lean body mass means not just muscle, it means organ size and bone size. All of it shrinks because that's the body's defense mechanism against you starving it. as soon as you reduce calories, the body was never, ever designed to lose weight, ever. It is only designed to gain weight until it dies. Okay, and then of course, we cheat to death. We don't die in our 20s anymore like we did for the first 3.5 million years, 4 million years. So we cheat to death, and now our body, that's why you stop. That's why it basically old age sets in around puberty. That's when it starts. That's why women men's at age 12, because they've got to reproduce because they never made it to 20. And again, these were all things, but now that we do, with the body is just, gets old and it's shrinking and it's going the other way. So the importance of doing all of that, when you can, the body was designed, we have to go against it, and supplements can help you get through that because the body wasn't designed to do that. As soon as you start losing weight, it sheds that. So I've got to feed the body nutrition without calories. Because if I drop your calories down, which I have to do to lose weight, there's no rocket science there, I'm going to drop the nutrition down. But I can't do that because that nutrition is what feeds your lean body mass. So what I've got to do is give you the nutrients without calories. So it's never negotiable. If you're going to work with me, you're going to take a protein powder before and after workout, and you're going to make sure you get 1 gram per pound of lean body mass split 4 times a day, and a multivitamin mineral complete is never negotiable from the time you're in the womb to the time you're in the tomb. It is never negotiable. Now I'm feeding your nutrients without calories. Now, guess what? I don't have to keep lowering your calories. Now you're not starving to death because you have to keep lowering your calories whenever you do that. Have you ever seen, we call them skinny fat people by the time they lose their 50 pounds. They're just smaller versions of their former self. But with us, we actually put on 2 or 3, 4 pounds of muscle while we lose all that body fat. Now you got a whole different look. You got that tone look, you got all of it. And you feel a million times better, and I didn't have to starve you. And that's what the difference is.
And so but you also bring up something that you can lose weight, but gain lean body mass and be a healthier person.
You say that again, I'm sorry.
So you can lose weight and then also gain lean body mass at the same time.
You can. You absolutely
be a healthier person at the end of the day. And so a lot of these diets, which are caloric restrictive, that end up where you don't get the macro and micronutrients, can actually harm you further down the road.
Oh yeah, you're structurally compromised. Your structural integrity is compromised the entire time. And you look at people that lose weight, and I've got all the studies because I do a very comprehensive weight loss lecture for dietitians and a group of scientists and so forth. And when they lose weight, the amount of bone mass they lose, when they lose 20 or 30 pounds, it's unbelievable. You're just setting your whole structure up for failure as you go through a weight loss program without supplementing properly.
So moving to sustainability on that weight loss and then weight maintenance, if once you go through that process.
Yeah. Well, okay. Once you've lost the weight, so now this is important for people to know. Okay. Now, without a doubt, you have to maintain a caloric deficit, which means you have to burn more calories than you consume, and you keep till you get to the weight loss you want, until you get to that fat loss. We don't call it weight, we call it fat loss. We get the fat loss, where you need it. Now, once you reach there, you don't still stay in a deficit, obviously, or you're just going to go away and shrink away and be gone. You get to raise your calories back up. Okay. You've still got all your lean body mass, maybe even a little bit more, depending on your age and everything else. And so now you get to bring the calories back up, and it's much more satisfying. That's conventional. That's how that all works. And it speeds the time up because you're burning calories at a much faster rate when you maintain your lean body mass through the whole time. So I always say, I can turn 12 weeks of misery into 6 weeks of perfection and make you feel better and maintain. So, because maintenance is really the whole thing. You don't have to do as much work to maintain it, and you don't have to diet like that anymore to maintain it. You can bring that up, and you can settle down to a comfortable workload.
Really good stuff, Neal. I think that's one of the main things that I ever hear when clients want to lose weight is they want to restrict calories, right? And that's a no-no. And as a personal trainer, that's a no-no. You don't want to go with that. Yeah, like you said, nutrient dense, not caloric dense, right? We want to make sure we're getting the right nutrients. That maintenance phase is so important, right? Go into that deficit. And then once you hit that weight, don't keep going. Let's start maintaining, putting the good stuff still into your body while we're trying to either gain weight or maintain where we're at there. So that's really good stuff. Really good information there. So to circle back with your beginning with dotFIT, why did you decide to start a supplement company in an already crowded supplement world?
It was just for you guys. We did it, Mark and I, we're in the personal training and health club business. So there's no one else you can trust to do it. We already built a giant brand in Apex, before that. And then of course we sold that with 24-Hour Fitness. It all went in one lump to the new owners. So then we waited for the no compete and started dotFIT in order to be able to do exactly the same thing within our clubs. But it has to be a practitioner product. We have no desire, and you can ask anyone here in my offices, we get calls from Walmart every day, Amazon every day. We carry your product, The answer is no. It goes through practitioners, and that is the way we run our businesses, because it helps our gyms become really the physical presence. And this is where you get your holistic information, or holistic health programs, for the people in the communities and so forth. So that's what it's really about. It's that one-stop shop.
Very cool.
So that's almost moving the health practitioner to the gym as opposed to the doctor, right? Before they even get there.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to 4 different people, and it's all fragmented. No one's talking to each other. Well, guess what? You come to our clubs, you got this. You got everything. You got a one-stop shop for everything that you need at that point. I'm not talking about clinical health. That's completely separate. You go out and get whatever you need there. But from a health maintenance part, and so we're on the prevention side. Right. And that's what the difference is. So all of that, that's what we handle in a holistic way, so that everybody knows what someone's doing.
Yeah, which is why we offer all these different brands of value when it comes to UFC Gym Indy and UFC Gym as a whole. Right, we're in that preventative healthcare career, and we're here to help you reach your results, feel better, live longer, add quality years of life. Right, as we start aging, we don't necessarily age for better, right? We want to age for better. We want to add those quality years to life. A lot of clients that I've worked with in the past, the baby boomer population, people 65 plus, want to just be able to play with their grandchildren and stay out of the hospital. The majority of our healthcare costs come at the end of our life, right? Not when we're in our 20s and 30s. So we want to prevent that as much as possible. And I think that's a really good point to add into knowing which kind of companies to partner with, which kind of companies to shop around with, as well as which facilities to go to for your fitness. So, and then with mentally and physically transitioning out of competitions, because you had mentioned you did bodybuilding competitions back in the day. We know that about your background, Neal. Transitioning out mentally and physically outside the competition phase and into, I guess, an average Joe. Just somebody just wants to maintain and get back into, not necessarily athletic shape for anybody outside of bodybuilding, athletics, post-college graduates, amateur professional athletes, just wanting to maintain after that. What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, I mean, you can't compare me, because I retired at 40, and for the next year and a half, it was mental and physical health. I was if you guys, your audience can Google me and see what I used to look like. I was a 265-pound freak. And that's why my wife says I'm half the man she married now. So
Literally, right?
I'd like to live with that. Yeah. And then my boys who are pro athletes, they look at me and they go, "Dad, you may not be that big anymore, but you sure are weak. You don't even want to be in my house when you're no longer a professional athlete." It's the worst. So yeah, it was tough. I mean, it was tough mentally on me, just kind of, going down, and shrinking. But the good news was I started the business right about, I was working with Golds at that time, right? And so I poured all of that passion into business. So I cushioned it. And I would say the same thing to everybody else. Listen, you've got to maintain, if you're an athlete and you're in high school, college, and everything else, yeah, you're not going to be that guy anymore if you're in the workplace, or that gal anymore if you have to go into the workplace. But you can still keep your sport recreational. And there's adult leagues everywhere. And every sport's got an adult league. Even football's got adult leagues with flag football. You've got, of course, basketball and all these. So you can do a little of that. But most importantly, 3 days a week in the gym with weight training, especially. You can't, I don't care who you are, you can't ignore 2 to 3 days a week of some resistance exercise if you want to continue to live a long, be able to do the things you love to do independently, not your kids carrying you around for the last 20 years of your life. Then you need to weight train regularly, 2 to 3 days. And I would give that advice to everyone, no matter what. Don't quit on that. In some kind of cardio shape, you just got to, you can be a brisk walk, 3 or 4 days a week. So that's at a very minimum. You just got to maintain that. And the other part is as soon as your weight starts to go up, do something about it. As soon as your body fat goes, do it before it gets out of control. You know, and then you're gonna be fine. So at the young age, when you're just leaving school and you play ball, that's that advice there. But if you've made a living at it like I did, that's a tough one.
Right.
Well, you talk about resistance training, and one of the myths is that women who do weights or resistance training gain a lot of weight and
bulk.
and
They
bulk.
think they're going to get bulky.
They think they're
right?
going to get big, and that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, no, if they're taking testosterone shots, maybe.
Right.
That's hopefully they're not. Yeah, they don't. I mean, they don't have the same hormones men do. You know, that's why they're women, and you know, men are men. And you know, there's much less testosterone in them, so they really can't put on all that much muscle, and it's extremely good for their whole body. I mean, most women do want to see. I just know most of the women I know in my life, the older women and everything, always don't want to see a little bit around the Dell. They want to see just a little curvature there. They don't want to just be, you know, and it takes muscle to do that. So when you lose that body fat around there, you see a little shape there. They like that sculpt look, you know. So it's, and not to mention, you know, I mean, you're going to be just so much more physically active when you maintain your muscle, because otherwise sarcopenia starts in the 4th decade of life. So at age 30, you start losing muscle. And if you don't try to hold on to it and even put a little bit on, you're going to be weak and you're going to start falling and losing balances in your 50s and 60s and 70s. And, you know, by then, you know, it's pretty late to get to turn it on. So that's how important it is to continue doing some form of resistance exercise.
So with the resistance, you have to also make sure that you have the proper amount of proteins and you have proper amount of micro and macronutrients to help fuel that growth and development and prevent injuries.
That's right. And that's the recovery part of it. You got to recover. That's why that simple little baseline program we just talked about, that's it. I mean, that gives you everything that you need. That little protein shake before your workout, protein shake after, because your muscles are extremely sensitive to nutrition at that particular point. Everything converges. And when amino acids and those enzymes are all going crazy, because you know, exercise doesn't build muscle, it tears muscle down. Remember that. It does not build muscle, it tears muscle down. The only thing that can rebuild it is what you put back in your body. And that 60-minute window right after a workout is crucial, because all those enzymes are all fired up. I got to fix all this damage. And if nothing shows up, well, amino don't show up. All it does, the enzymes go up. Let's go home. It's 5 o'clock, punch clock, we're out. No lumber came in. So, and that's after about 60, 90 minutes, it gets quiet. You'll still be recover when you get later on in the day, but nothing like that 60, 90-minute window right after exercise. So we make sure everyone takes a shake then. You got to have a gram per pound anyway. You might as well take a little before your workout and a little after your workout. It just saves you a lot of different, having to eat too much during the day. So it's a real powerful way to recover much better. And you'd be surprised how much longer. Now you can play a lot longer, because it's all about that. Being able to, I call it play span. How long you want to be able to do the things you love to do until the end of days. That's what you want to be able to do. And you can do that if you fuel your body and recover from exercise properly.
So that's after a large weightlifting session, you consume the protein afterwards, before and after, and that's replenishing the body, helping with the recovery from the standpoint of, and just from layman's terms, soreness, the ability not to walk up the steps 2 days later after you did squats, because you did it too much, or.
Yeah.
If you're measuring it that way, again, it's, if you really look at the studies and you look at the muscle damage and what we call fractional synthesis rate, and how much higher it is immediately after exercise, as soon as amino acids converge. When amino acids and exercise converge, it's an amazing dynamic that takes place inside the muscle. So now you're recovering that much faster. That's the point, right?
Gotcha.
And then not just faster, but especially with athletes that we work with, like NBA guys, especially with NBA guys during playoff season and all these things. I mean, they have no recovery. They're not like football players. Football players, right? They play out of a 2-hour game. What are they on the field? 15 minutes, and that's if you're a starter on one side, because you're always off. Offense, defense, and in basketball, you don't get to go, oh, I'm not going to play defense today. You know, you play both. These guys are the most beat up athletes on the planet. These basketball players, and not to mention the size of them and the pounding those bodies are taking. So recovery is everything about recovery. And when you look at how they recover, all of them make sure that they do all the things we talked about so they can recover, because it really changes their competitive lifespan. Well, the same thing for any human being. is that we can do the same thing with you. If you recover every day of life is recovery from the previous. Okay. And if you don't recover very well, then the next day is not that good. Every day and you recover well, then you just have that ability to be able to do the things you love to do all the way to the end of days. Now, maybe when you're 80 and you ride a bike, it's not the same. You're not going to do it as well as you did when you were 30. No one argues that, but you're still able to do it. That's huge.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And great transition here, because another one of the questions we had was, what does the partnership look like between dotFIT and some professional sports teams?
Yeah, what they do is we have, like I said, we have special websites for them. So if you look at, well, they're all up on the wall here, but we've got maybe, 15 NFL teams, most of your NBA guys, and we also have the Major League Baseball. In fact, we had the winners of the World Series and the NBA championship. We have both those teams this last year. So what they do is the players can all go. Everything is NSF certified for sport. So the only thing that's available to players are NF certified for sport, which is most of our products anyway. All our products are third-party tested, but Major League Baseball, NFL and NBA and hockey, they don't allow their players to buy anything unless it's NSF certified, because they have a deal with them. So that's their third-party testing partner. So we have to fourth-party test all that product. We third-party test everything, and then we got to send it out again to NSF certified for sport. It's total overkill, trust me. But that's what the relationship is. They get everything, and you're like wholesale. You know what I mean? So the teams can buy it wholesale, just like a health club or like an outlet is able to, or like your trainer.
Why is that NSF important for our viewers and the lay person out there? Why does it matter to the mom who's got a daughter who's playing travel soccer?
Yeah.
What does that mean to them?
Yeah. So again, and of course college too is the same way. The first thing you're taught when you walk into like an NFL room, you walk like my son when he went to the Rams. The first thing they teach you, when the strength conditioning coach lays out in front of you and goes like this: never ever walk into a GNC, never go buy any product unless it's got NS certified for. They tell you right off the bat, because one thing that NSF tests for is heavy metals to make sure there's not too many. So you got a young kid taking a protein shake all the time, but it's got heavy metals in it because they didn't clean it properly, the raw material. That builds up in your system over time, and it's not good. It's lead, mercury, cadmium, these heavy metals. That can't happen in an NSF certified for sport product because they test for problem. Yeah, it's a big problem. Yeah, they test for levels way below spec. So you're allowed a certain amount of heavy metals, obviously, in raw materials, but their markers are way lower than that. So basically, you can't even find it. And then it's also tests for banned substances, which is a huge one, because a lot of the stores that carry performance enhancing supplements, they spike them with steroids. And as you know, bodybuilding.com got busted for it back in 2014. Everyone got busted for spiking their supplements with steroids or ephedra or some sort of stimulant, including prescription weight loss drugs were actually put in weight loss products. So you just don't want to do it. NSF certified for sport wipes all of that out and just puts that very comfortable. Every mom or dad can be very comfortable with their kids using any of that.
Sure. And then touching back on mom and dads, one thing that's not really talked about in the fitness world, unless you specify in it, would be, youth sports, youth training, youth supplementation. So kids under the age of 13, right? Can you touch a little bit on what dotFIT offers for kids around that age group?
Yep. We have a regular package with every youth athlete we work with. It's not even just a youth athlete, every youth period. And that is, you got your complete multivitamin mineral. And by the way, just a reminder to all the moms there, you are giving your son or daughter a multivitamin mineral every day while they were in your womb, while they were a fetus. In 1970, the AMA made it mandatory, and the pediatrics people made it mandatory that they prescribed a complete multivitamin mineral to the conceiving mother. That's called a prenatal. Now they give you an omega-3, mom. You get an omega-3 and a multivitamin mineral while they're in the womb because of the brain development in the third trimester. So all these things. So why would you ever stop taking it? It doesn't make it, because I got news for you. When the kid gets out, they eat worse as they get older. So there's no way you're not going to fill those gaps. You've got to fill those gaps. So that's not negotiable, mom and dad, complete. And by the way, not one you buy in the mass market. Never touch a gummy. They are useless. They can't hold more than 3 or 4 different things. The matrix is not, vitamins, minerals can't stay stable, and they blow up in the stomach. And you don't absorb anything in the stomach. You want to get in the GI tract. So we have the chewable for the kids, but a 13-year-old would just take the 1 tablet, which is the active, okay? Now they have all 19 vitamins, minerals that could possibly be underconsumed. Most importantly, they match the diet. So now you've filled those nutrition gaps. So that's not negotiable, parents, ever. That's number 1. Number 2 would be the protein before and after a workout. So whenever they're training, listen, I coached Pop Warner for 14 years, and we had probably more Super Bowls than anyone during that time. And I was lucky to have, like, my son is one of them. And a couple guys in the NFL, by the way, out of my Pop Warner group.
That helps.
I was a little psycho, about this. But I got about 8 guys in Division I football. But anyway, so I made sure that every parent, that first day, right here, come on, parents, right here, first day, here's the menus that I want them to, just templates, so they can eat. When they come out here and they're miserable because they didn't eat right before they got to practice, next thing you know, they're second or third string instead of being first string because they ran out of energy all the time. So you make sure they take this this protein shake with carbs. It's 2-to-1 carbs to protein right here. And all it is ground up food in a can. People think protein shakes, that's a supplement. No, it's not. It's a food product. Okay? Ground up food in a can. You make sure that they take that before they get here, 40 minutes before. They make sure they get that. And then immediately after, make sure they got one. Just put the dry powder in there, shake it up with water, and then they're good to go. And you can go give them dinner after practice later. Those are mandatory. Those are not optional. And they'll get that, especially when they're growing. My goal isn't to get you to be an athlete. It's to get you to be healthy and be able to achieve the things you want to. Athletes we work with, they don't just perform better, they're healthier. They're healthier than the average person. Health is first. It doesn't just make you better on the field, it makes you better in the classroom. And I drove that home to every parent. So those are the things. And then the omega-3, if they're not eating fish, if you're not serving your kids fish. One of my kids actually does eat fish, the other ones never do. So they've been taking omega-3 their whole life. But, and I've never had to take one. I eat 16, 18, 20 ounces a week of fish. I never left that from bodybuilding. Still crack open a can of tuna fish.
Right.
But so I'm just saying that. So that's what kids 13 years old, you ask that, that's every kid no matter what. And that's just going to make them heal, recover better because we know how they're eating. And by the way, it gets them to eat better because they feel better.
Right.
Yeah. And what kind of recommendations would you have as far as activity levels for kids around that age as well?
Well, if they're not obviously if they're not playing sports, then they're supposed to have a PE class, but I know a lot of schools, didn't do that. So they should mock the parents. I would love to see every kid do resistance training. I don't care how old they are. It doesn't matter. But they got to do it. If you're young, you got to do it under supervision of someone that knows what they're doing, like your guys. You know what I mean? They know how to train growing kids. You're not putting them through crazy stuff. You're just teasing it. And by the way, weight training actually stimulates vertical growth. Doesn't not the old myth stuff. Okay, so it doesn't hurt anything. It actually just stimulates it. So that, and then of course, if they're not doing anything, and you got to get at least, at least 90 minutes to 3 hours a week of some sort of brisk aerobic type activity, one way or another. And activities like what you guys have, those are the cool things for the kids. You know what I mean? They get into that. So, hopefully the parents, get that message across because it's, it's a little bit different. Schools don't offer the PE like they used to. And if your kid's not playing sports, you better get them to a club such as yours.
No, that's one of the things. Yeah. I think our goal was, you see the iPad generation, the phones, their heads down, it's affecting their necks but they're not moving off the couch. They don't go outside and run around in the woods anymore. It's just, it's a different generation and that's understandable. However, I think there are things that we can do. And that's one of the most powerful things I think UFC Gym offers as a whole is a youth program starting at 6 years old. To me, that's phenomenal because
Absolutely.
No other gym on the planet does this. No other gym is trying to get your kids into moving and just move, right? Just move and have fun, whether it's rolling and tumbling or what we call the kids D.U.T, daily ultimate training, where they're running, they're having fun. And I think that's powerful. You combine that with some of the nutritional aspects and you've got you can change a generation.
Right. And you know what I like better? See, the reason that's that is so important, is because not every kid's going to like sports. You know, if you're not the guy, right? You know, if you're not the pitcher or the catcher or maybe shortstop, baseball,
Yep.
you're going to be out there picking grass. You know, if you're not, you know, the guy, you're the player that has to only play 14 plays during football, you're going to quit. You know, you're not going to do it. Where everyone wins in your facility. I mean, everyone, you know, will enjoy it and win it. There's no first string, second string, third string, or, you know, you're not going to play. It is really, and it's exciting and fun, like you said.
Well, a lot of the high schools here, they're mega high schools. So, you know, if you're going to be at 5,000 students, if you're playing football, you probably have the capability of playing D1 or D2 at any college just by playing on the high school teams now. So you're leaving a whole segment, you know, 98% or 99% of the population out of the athletic side just because the bar is so high these days.
Yeah, that's right. And then in PE is, you know, a little bit weak. So that's what's so great about having outlets like yours that cater to everyone in the community.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And last question that we have here for you, Neal. How would you encourage someone new to the fitness industry and their fitness career to really build their own brand going forward?
So, you know, someone new to the industry that's coming in to build their own brand. I mean, you've got important thing I tell everybody when it comes to that is what is your unique selling position? So what is it that you guys do different than anybody else? I don't care if they're 100 or 200 UFC clubs. If they were all in the same block, what is it that you do different? I'm not talking about, you know, competing against the other gym, but there's something unique. So whatever your unique selling position is. Now mine, I was fortunate, was nutrition. No one had ever heard of that in the gym. So I picked nutrition to be the unique portion, and I integrated that with exercise, and everyone wanted to be a part of it. I'd do a seminar, and there'd be literally 3,000 people joining the gym that day. Just, you know, coming down and just knocking down the door because it was so new to have a new approach to fitness. And this, you know, of course, it's going back in the 80s now. So I'm just telling you that, so whatever it is, you need to find your specialty. What is it? And maybe it's just your personality. You know, maybe it is the way you handle it. It's your communicative skills with the community. You know, it is. You know, then once they get inside, what's the magic of your club? What is the magic of your services? So focus on that, because everyone has a unique selling position, but too many people don't focus on that. They're too focused on, you know, competing or playing defense against, you know, a competitor. Play offense, and, you know, let it go out there, and you'll be surprised, you know, what happens at that point.
Good stuff. Words of wisdom from the godfather of nutrition in our industry. Neal,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Make sure you say our industry.
Yeah, our industry, right?
A whole bunch of guys smarter than me out there. I just hijacked their information.
Well, put it to good use.
That's right.
Oh,
you guys apply. You guys apply it. That's why you're my heroes out there.
Well, we're just here to make a difference every day in whatever way we can, and just help people out, you know, build a community. So, you know, we're honored and humbled and appreciative of your time. Thank you very much.
Oh, for sure.
And we're excited to partner with you and dotFIT and to help people out.
Yeah, and I'm excited to watch you guys grow. And anytime you want to do this again, you just let me know.
Absolutely.
Love to do it.
How about tomorrow, Neal? Is that okay?
But I'm going to come out and visit as soon as you open your doors.
Oh, we love to
Absolutely.
have you. Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you,
All right,
Neal, for
guys.
your time. Once again, check out dotFIT.com and check out UFC Gym Indy, an exclusive provider of the dotFIT supplementation brand. Thank you to Neal Spruce for joining us today, and thank you to our listeners for checking out the UFC Gym Indy podcast and our Facebook Live events. Be sure to get out there, stay active. Gyms are opening up around the Indianapolis area, so come check out our Class UFC gym that is now open in Noblesville, and then soon to come our signature gym in Whitestown. So thank you again, Neal, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Don't
guys.
forget to check out the links below. You'll be able to order or find out more information about dotFIT
Yep.
In the
Yeah,
comments.
make sure
below.
you do it under your club's name, because both the
Absolutely.
discount. Awesome.
Yep.
All right, guys.
All right.
See you later. Have a good one.
Thank
Next
you.
time.
Great.
Next time.